The development of the Dyson Sphere has rapidly accelerated humanity's technological progress. A small spacecraft approaches JIOR Module 77, claiming to be carrying transfer students. Meanwhile, Haruto loses an eating contest to his childhood friend and crush, Shoko. The transfer students, revealed to be Dorshans, infiltrate the module. In class, Haruto steals glances at Shoko, and his friend, Kuma, encourages him to confess. Elf leads his team towards the school building, where he overhears Haruto telling Shoko how it would be nice if everyone just shared without competition. Angered, Elf kicks him and calls him a commie. Later, Haruto's confession to Shoko is interrupted by a sudden invasion by Dorshan wafts. Splicer drones fail to hold them back, and the JIOR begins an evacuation while their allies, the Eris, engage the Dorshan fleet. Elf assassinates several scientists, but one launches the Valvrave model Hito to the surface, which Haruto and the others see. Tragically, Shoko is caught in an explosion. Stricken by grief, Haruto boards the Hito, swearing to destroy the intruders. A WAF attacks Haruto, who is unable to operate Hito. When he recalls Shoko's and Elf's words to be more assertive, he accepts the system's prompt asking if he is willing to abandon his humanity. Haruto operates the Hito and obliterates the WAFs, while a student named Akira streams the fight online. Haruto becomes an internet celebrity. When he climbs out, Elf kills him. Strangely, Haruto survives, and he bites Elf. Dyson spheres, mechas, and vampires. What's not to love? Saki, Aina, and Kuma discover Haruto's body, but so do the Dorshans. Suddenly, Elf fires on his comrades, injuring Adre's eye and allowing Haruto's friends to escape. Later, things get more bizarre than JIOR. Elf claims he is Haruto. The Dorshan invasion is successful as the JIOR surrenders. After Haruto convinces them of who he is, he tells them of his plan to retrieve Hito. News of Elf's betrayal reaches the Dorshan High Command. Haruto kills the scientists inspecting Hito, carries his body inside, and is joined by Saki. She ties up Elf's body and he bites his body again, and their bodies return to normal. Elf is extremely confused. Hito activates, but it slips into space where they fend off an attack by Dorshan wafts. In response, Adre and Kuvir sortie aboard their ideal fighters. When Hito is badly damaged, Elf breaks free and takes Saki hostage. Elf's confusion grows when Adre calls him a traitor. As the battle rages on, Haruto receives a call from Shoko, who is revealed to have survived. Suddenly, Hito stops moving as its capacitor reaches critical levels. However, Elf urges him to continue, remarking that beyond his limits lies possibility. The capacitor breaks 666, and Hito experiences a burst of power, badly damaging Adre's ideal. When an Eris fleet counterattacks, the Dorshans are forced to retreat. The victory is short-lived. Elf demands to know what happened while he was unconscious. Haruto reunites with Shoko but cannot bring himself to confess. He later confides in Kuma that a monster like him cannot have feelings. Elf is taken into custody, but he leaves Haruto with a cryptic message, microphone, earthquake, and at 3:14, the answer will be behind him. The Academy recovers with the help of Eris and Senator Figueroa. When Haruto arrives, he is hailed as a hero. Meanwhile, Elf is interrogated, and his moniker as the one-man army is revealed. Later, Haruto has his blood tested, and nothing looks out of the ordinary, but his healing factor is unnaturally fast. He suddenly succumbs to his vampiric urges, and Aina slaps him to his senses. Lion, their teacher, brings Haruto to meet with Figueroa. He shows him the overwhelming support he has received online, and Haruto agrees to cooperate with Eris. Meanwhile, Elf breaks free, kills all the guards in the room, and initiates Plan D7. His former unit also received Colonel Kane's blessing to reconquer Module 77. Haruto cooperates with the Eris to ensure a smooth evacuation. Takahi assists in clearing out the school, and she learns that Satomi is still trying to convince his sister, Akira, to evacuate. Elf makes a daring escape, killing hundreds of men. Reizo, jealous of Haruto, intimidates him into handing over the Valvrave. Shoko, who is searching for Haruto, instead discovers Akira, who wiretaps the JIOR evacuation ship and watches as thick smoke obscures their path. The ship screeches to a halt and panic sets in. It slowly dawns on Haruto that Elf's prophecy is coming true. He turns around at exactly 3:14, where Elf proposes that they start a revolution together. The Eris Senate unanimously agree to defend until they can procure JIOR's Valvrave technology. Elf predicts that Haruto will be forced to cooperate with him. When the time comes, he instructs Haruto to make a peace sign. Haruto rejoins Figueroa and witnesses a pilot attempting to pilot Hito die. When the Dorshans attack earlier than expected, Figueroa orders a retreat without the students. Haruto is apprehended as Shoko overhears from Akira's wiretap that the Eris plans to abandon them. When Haruto fails to answer her call, she requests Kuma's help. At the emergency meeting, Shoko is distrusted because she refuses to reveal her source, but she convinces them that she is dead serious by suddenly stripping. While Takahi and the others distract the heiress soldiers, Shoko, Kuma, and Yusuke rescue Haruto. They bring him outside, where he reveals the heiress' true intentions. Figaro starts blasting at the students, injuring Reizo. However, after Haruto bites a heiress soldier to reclaim Hito, the heiress units surrender. Elf reveals that the Dortian military has conquered all of JIOR save for this module, and he flashes a peace sign at Haruto. Shoko reasons that they can use the Valvrave as a bargaining chip. Figaro can't risk the Valvrave falling into Dortian hands, so he agrees to cooperate. While Adre battles their remaining defenses, Haruto destroys the connecting beams of Module 77, forcibly separating it from the JIOR. Back on land, Shoko declares their independence. A week has passed since Shoko declared independence. The students become unruly, but with a few rules set in place, relative peace is established while the heiress and Dortia have a Mexican standoff in space. The heiress views New JIOR as a sideshow, and they refocus their efforts on the Dortians. Meanwhile, Mr. Kibukawa inspects the Hito and marvels at its technological superiority. He remarks that its creator, Dr. Takashima, must have made a deal with the devil. A sudden power outage triggers a freezing winter. Kibukawa tells them to recalibrate the internal thermometer, which Yusuke claims knows where it is. Ryuma drags him away to conduct repairs. The freezing temperatures cause dissatisfaction, especially from Takahi. Yusuke nervously begins repairs, but when he sees the pain Ryuma is in, he is reminded of the suffering his classmates are going through. Tensions run high, causing Saki and Takahi to butt heads as people start blaming Shoko. Haruto and Shoko's rendition of Jingle Bells fails to calm them down. Saki and Takahi nearly kill each other, but Yusuke finally reaches the big red button, restoring power to the module. The conflict between Takahi and Saki is resolved for now. Haruto takes Shoko's advice, and they film a music video to show the world that Module 77 lives on. The video is a huge success, and donations start pouring in. Meanwhile, Haruto and Saki discover several other Valvraves. Haruto wants to keep this a secret, and Saki steals a kiss. Unbeknownst to them, Elf is also skulking about. Ignoring Haruto's warnings, Saki pilots Valvrave, whom she later dubs Carmilla. Haruto chases after her, and she reveals she has neither family nor friends. Haruto comforts her, but she suddenly bites him. Lion is appointed the new JIOR representative, while Kibukawa conducts an inspection of Hito. Saki, now in Haruto's body, enjoys teasing Takahi. Meanwhile, Elf concludes that Module 77 was designed to breed potential Valvrave pilots. The next day, Haruto deals with the fallout of Saki's impersonation of him. Amazingly, Shoko recognizes that it wasn't Haruto, and she begins fighting Saki over his affections. Their love triangle is cut short as the Dortians invade again. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? The attack catches New JIOR completely by surprise, but even more so when they see Saki piloting a Valvrave. Saki's overconfidence costs her as the Ideals fight back. Haruto arrives to help, but X-Ainz deduces that Valvraves are only effective at close range. They fire missiles from afar, severely hampering Saki and Haruto's strength. Q-Veer destroys the last remaining heiress ship in orbit, killing Figaro. Saki's mental is in shambles as she realizes she is an immortal. She freezes up, leaving Haruto completely at the mercy of Q-Veer and X-Ainz. However, Shoko manages to rally Takahi and the others to cheer her on. Saki's idle instincts take over, and she manages to harness the full power of Carmilla. With increased maneuverability, she severely damages X-Ain's ideal. The Dortians are forced to retreat, and New JIOR celebrates their victory. However, unbeknownst to them, Adre has infiltrated Module 77. 200 years later, Saki, now a renowned Valvrave pilot, remembers her promise. Back in the present, Satomi attempts to commandeer the Valvraves into student council custody. Unfortunately, democracy hits as the students vote Haruto to manage them. Later, Haruto confides in Aina and Kuma that he was reluctant to tell the others about Valvraves because it turns one into a vampire. Satomi is disgruntled after having his authority undermined. During a cooking session, Shoko rejects Elf's written demands, forcing him to stage a coup. He seals several hallways and subdues both Saki and Reizo. After Haruto learns of the coup, he heads to the hangar where Elf is waiting. After a brief confrontation, Haruto is shot by Adre. He reunites with Elf but is horrified to see Haruto still alive. Elf proclaims Haruto as his new right hand toward revolution. Against orders, Q-Veer badly damages the hangar. Elf manages to push them out through a hatch, but Haruto's leg is trapped, leaving Saki as their only defense. H-Noon, using magnetic clamps, seals Carmilla's maneuverability. Elf allows Haruto to bite him so he can pilot the Hito, where Haruto discovers Elf has prepared a battle strategy. He severely damages H-Noon's ideal, forcing yet another Dortian retreat. Huma is horrified to see Aina's dead body floating in space, having been caught in Q-Veer's attack. Meanwhile, Haruto looks inside Elf's pocket, where a picture of a girl named Licht drives him to tears. Elf wakes up from a dream of him and Licht, and he warns everyone that in 6 hours, New JIOR will fall. Aina's death deeply affects everyone, especially Kuma. Meanwhile, Kane gives Adre one last chance to retrieve Elf. Shoko frees Akira, but she herself breaks down in tears after remembering Aina. Satomi is surprised that his sister is with someone else. Tensions run high as Kuma demands to pilot a Valvrave, while Reizo attempts to arm himself. Haruto and Saki pilot their respective Valvraves to battle the Dortians, but Adre has already infiltrated them. Haruto and Saki struggle against the metal clamp. To make matters worse, Adre has commandeered the abandoned JIOR fleet, threatening to destroy the school unless they surrender. Desperation sets in. Kuma is injured, while Satomi unsuccessfully demands that Elf surrender. Haruto speaks to Elf, who claims that with just 8 lives lost, he can save New JIOR. The others are hesitant, but Haruto says he trusts him. After appealing to Elf's dreams and unfinished business, Elf changes his mind. He will save New JIOR with no losses. He instructs Haruto and Saki to shoot a specific point in the module, which drains the artificial seawater. They are freed from the metal bonds, and Adre's fleet is neutralized. The Dortians attempt to stop Haruto from using his Harakiri blade, but Elf buys him time. Elf bails out just as Haruto destroys the Dortian fleet. Meanwhile, Kuma is frustrated over having accomplished nothing. Haruto retrieves Elf, who claims he calculated that Haruto would find him. They're just roommates. An online memorial for Aina rallies more support for New JIOR. Elf begins making battle plans for the fledgling state, while Haruto struggles with increasingly frequent vampiric outbreaks. Elf begins a mandatory military training program. Reizo repeatedly attempts to pilot a Valvrave, and Elf dissuades Kuma from doing the same. Kuma instead devotes his time to handling weapons, greatly worrying Haruto and Shoko. The Dortians attack again, but thanks to Elf's training, they mount a coherent defense. Haruto and Saki are lured away in their Valvraves, allowing a second fleet to attack the module. They realize the diversion too late, as Adre and the other Dortians keep them occupied. New JIOR buckles under the sudden onslaught, causing a power outage. Kuma prevents Reizo from piloting a Valvrave, but after a brief argument, they both set aside their differences and bond over a shared desire to avenge and protect. Kuma pilots the defensive Hichiba, blocking volleys of laser fire, while Reizo pilots the Hikaminari, a hyper-offensive Valvrave boasting massive arms. Guided by Elf, they fend off the Dortians, forcing Commodore Manninger to utilize their accelerator cannon. To their shock, Kuma parries it and fires back, handing them another massive L. Kane orders another retreat. Kuma and Reizo are hailed as heroes, but Haruto is furious that Elf allowed them to pilot the Valvraves. However, Kuma reassures Haruto that they did so of their own volition. Meanwhile, Kibukawa inspects an incomplete Valvrave. Elf confronts him with his knowledge that most of the school staff are ex-military. Kibukawa reveals that the entirety of Module 77 was designed for the Valvraves. Kibukawa reveals that JIOR's declaration of neutrality pushed them to design the Valvraves. Lion is also one of the few teaching staff that isn't ex-military. Lion coordinates with the heiress regarding their approach to the neutral moon base, while Shoko continues to bond with Akira. Haruto and the others plan to test their new powers, but Lion suddenly holds an election to officially choose a leader for New JIOR. Satomi, Reizo, and Lion all announce their candidacies. Elf, who really loves paperwork, volunteers to oversee it. Haruto encounters Takahi when his vampiric urges cause him to attack her. Luckily, Saki is there to stop him, and they write off his behavior as raging male hormones. Haruto grows anxious about his worsening condition, and Saki promises to kill him if necessary. Shoko is urged to run for president, garnering the support of various clubs. Meanwhile, Kane begins the final operation. Crime infiltrates the office and discovers that H-Noon is also there. When Shoko goes missing, Haruto finds her at the shrine, where he learns that she has been fearing for the safety of her father, the former prime minister. After a lengthy heart-to-heart, Shoko decides to run for president. But as she leaves, Haruto suffers another vampiric attack. After Satomi's boring speech and slogans, Shoko takes the podium and promises to hold a school festival on the moon, and the audience cheers her on. Meanwhile, Saki allows herself to be assaulted by Haruto. When the ordeal is over, a barely dressed Saki informs him that Shoko won. Shoko's father, Ryuji, is put on trial for falsely declaring neutrality. Meanwhile, Haruto meets with Saki. Reizo tests his Valvrave, which he has dubbed the Nabu Lightning. Meanwhile, New JIOR's new cabinet, made up of Yusuke, Judo, Kuma, Satomi, Takahi, Rion, Iori, and Marie pose for an official photograph. They deny Shoko's request to wear manga-themed t-shirts. Haruto goes on an impromptu date with Saki, failing to answer Shoko's calls. She receives a congratulatory text from Akira, but the sudden social interaction briefly induces a panic attack. Haruto and Saki's date is interrupted by yet another Dortian attack, led by Admiral Delius. The Valvrave pilot strap in his Module 77 retreats, prompting Delius to order a frontal assault. This plays into L-Elf's plan, which is to utilize Haruto's Harakiri blade to destroy the entire fleet. L-Elf hands Satomi several contingency plans, and he accompanies Shoko to address Delius. Shoko is horrified to see that her father has been sentenced to death. When she learns that Haruto has a clear shot at the flagship, L-Elf reasons that if they miss this chance, they will all die. Shoko is unable to decisively act, but her father is proud that she has become Prime Minister. He remarks that adults are the soil for the new generation. Just as Haruto destroys the Dortian fleet with his Harakiri blade, their victory is short-lived as a drill suddenly penetrates the module. Satomi is unable to act. L-Elf did not account for this. Kane leads the assault, while H-Noon attends to the drill. Carmilla carries the Hito back, but before Haruto enters, he suddenly proposes. 200 years later, Saki tells a young boy the story of the founder. Saki refuses his proposal, and she urges him to rescue the others. But deep down, she is conflicted. Haruto reunites with L-Elf, and they learn that the drill is also spewing poison gas, lethal to the module's atmosphere. Meanwhile, Kane apprehends Kibukawa, whom he recognizes as an important cog in the Valvrave mystery. Saki, Kuma, and Reizo do their best to hold off the Dortians. Satomi begs Akira to evacuate, but she refuses to leave. Haruto and L-Elf find the entire special hangar slaughtered at Kane's hands. He shoots Haruto, but realizes he is also a vampire. L-Elf's assassination attempt is also stifled. Outside, Reizo is pummeled by a Dortian countermeasure to Valvraves, gigantic heating irons dubbed Piera del Sol, which superheat their Valvraves. Both Kuma and Saki succumb to the heat. While Kane beats up his former protege, Shoko attempts to persuade Akira to evacuate as the drill draws closer. Akira is moved by Shoko's declaration that the two are friends, but the drill bursts from underneath, knocking Shoko unconscious. Akira, overcoming her past trauma of being bullied, steps outside and discovers a Valvrave unit, the Hayasobai, which she pilots to rescue Shoko. Using Hayasobai, she hacks the drill and the WAF units. Haruto and L-Elf are able to escape into the Hito, while H-Noon's ideal is badly damaged. L-Elf persuades Haruto to gun down Kane, but it becomes apparent that Kane isn't human either. He covers himself in energy and hijacks the seemingly dysfunctional Valvrave 2. L-Elf is at a loss. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.